Okay, hold on one sec. Okay, we'll begin with our USC pressers. Before we introduce the players, let me remind you to silence your cell phones, raise your hand, and wait for the mic if you have a question. State your name and affiliation, please. For those of you on Zoom, raise your hand and we'll get to you also. And with that, I'd like to introduce our two USC student athletes. We have Rhea Marshall and Avery Howell. We'll take questions from the group. Raise your hand if you have it. Ryan?
Ryan Carci, LA Times. Rhea, Lindsay was talking yesterday about how you've really taken pride in being at the head of the press when you guys initiate that. Was that just an instinctual thing for you? It kind of came to you naturally, or is that something that's developed over time?
I would definitely say that's something. Hi, Ryan. I would definitely say that's something that's I can say I developed here in the program. Something Coach B has brung to my game that over time is just strengthened, and also just the confidence that my coaches and teammates instill in me. And then another thing is also a part of the game plan. So that's something that I'm prepared for prior to games.
How have you just seen this defense get better and better with that press? It seemed like in this past game that was really when things changed.
For sure. So a lot of time, a lot of watching film, also just a lot of when we're watching film, just certain players we know who to take advantage of, who to be more aggressive, who to fall back, having awareness of shot clock. So I say the more that we go deeper into season, the more we're comfortable with trapping with each other. The more I know which teammate I can strongly trap, which teammate I can, we can force a 10-second backcourt. So with time, just learning my teammates and also just keep locking in on the scout so I know which players I can be more aggressive with.
Let's go to Beth down here.
Beth Harris, AP. Ray, I'm asking this with a freshman sitting next to you, but how did you see the freshmen overall, just kind of looking back at game one, not only just the game itself, but kind of mentally and just how they handled themselves, being the first game of the tournament, it can be overwhelming.
For sure. I feel like one thing that I like to pride Coach G on a lot is she recruit really, really good people. So not just players, but just people off the court. Avery right here, actually, I'm going to get off on back about her. When we have team structure studies, she can get out of there early and fast because she has no work, because she's crushing her work in her own time. And then another thing, also, just like with these freshmen, a lot of the time, they're in practice, what a lot of people don't see is how competitive they are. They don't take the backseat in anything. They're talking, they're vocal. And also, I feel like Lindsay giving them, have prepared them for games like this because they get to play. Like, it's not, we're in tournament now, come throw them in a game, but they had reps in preseason, they have reps in season. So now when we're in NCAA tournament, they can hit big shots because they had the experience versus UCLA. We played Notre Dame, we've played top teams, and they're thriving.
Clinton Yates, ESPN. You mentioned the press and how much you take pride in it, but you guys were hitting that thing up 30 to the point that, it wasn't like it was necessary in that game. But what are you working on at that stage of the game in terms of how you're communicating defensively for the next opponent when you are going to install that again?
Well, a lot of that goes with the coaches and the preparation and scout, but also I feel like when it's March, it's all about wins. So whatever I need to, whether it's we're pressing or we just picking up full court man, I feel like just being aggressive to get the W, forcing turnovers, being vocal with my teammates. When we're all locked in and on the same court, I feel like we're a contender to win the national championship.
Harvey Jones, Culver City. Questions for Avery. Can you talk about what Mississippi State coach talked about you? You and Malia and other players as well. How have you been prepared to just play big and prepare for these moments throughout the season?
Yeah, I think that kind of like what Rhea said, all of us have been working this whole season in practice and games just to be ready for any moment that we're given. So especially coming off a bench, I try to be a spark for our team, fill in gaps where it's needed, trying to read the game from the sideline, and then when I get in, trying to make the best impact that I can. I think a lot of us do that. So I think it's just we're focusing on what's in front of us, so we're ready for this next game and we're preparing for that one. But for the main part, it's just every moment is super important at this time.
There, Marissa and Jemmy, San Francisco Chronicle. Rhea, I was just wondering, what's it been like playing with Kiki this year? Like, what's that experience been like overall, and what's your relationship like with her?
Okay, so I've been knowing Kiki since like early high school. We've always played against each other, but every day, I've never experienced Kiki every day. Like, we've never been on the same team. So we actually are locker partners. Every day she's coming in consistently, bringing in great energy. She's coming in, she's saying good morning. Like, she, in her head, she really a princess. Like, she walks around like, good morning, everyone. She's really sweet. But then also, I just, playing with Kiki is like having a cheat code. Like, she can do it all. Her tempo is always great. Even when we have those practices we'll have practices the day after a game, and Coach Lindsay is like we were like walking through, but Kiki's just like going 100 every day. She's fun, she's competitive, she's one to really just uplift your spirit with her presence. She's genuinely sweet, and I've actually been honored to play alongside her this year.
Back to Ryan.
Ryan Crutchy, LA Times. Avery, I know I kind of asked Rhea this, but in terms of this press defense, when you guys are running that, what is it that makes it so suffocating about the way you guys run it, and how difficult, as a freshman, how hard was it to kind of get in the rhythm of the way you guys do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we work on it a lot in practice, so the more we practice it, the better it feels in a game. And I also think for the personnel we have on this team, that can be a really energizing thing for us, kind of can get everyone going. And I think that it's a good thing to fall back on if we need a little pickup, so just being able to just fall into that press. And I think that it's been a really good thing for our team this year, and we rep it a lot. Coach B's honest about where we go and everything, and I think that whoever the dog is in the front, most of the time it's Rhea, just brings it, kind of starts it all for us, being loud, being big, that scare factor at the front, which is really energizing for our team.
Clinton Yates, ESPN. Obviously, you guys have your opponents in front of you that you watch film on, but just as a team, do you get to watch games? This is for either one of you together. Do you still get to kind of be any sort of basketball fans, even though you're locked in on your own schedules with all the other games happening in the tournaments around the country?
You got it. I mean, yeah, I watch a lot of basketball, have all my life, and I think that especially during March Madness, it's super fun to watch games, kind of to see what's going on other sides of things, especially early on. But I think that our main focus still is on us and on our opponent, so that's definitely what we keep our eyes on. But it is fun to see what's going on. But yeah, for the main part, it's just focused on us.
Yeah, I also have friends on other schools, other teams. So it's March. It's fun to watch basketball. So I'm watching.
Can you talk about your opponent for tomorrow and what you see and expectations
Who won the game?
for Mississippi State?
For Mississippi State, you want to go first?
Yeah, we're excited to play. We're excited to be in this next round game, so we're excited to face them. We know that it's going to be a tough game, just like a lot of teams are facing right now in March Madness. But I think that we have a good game plan, and we're ready to hit it face on tomorrow.
Yep, our last game in Galen Center for the season. We're looking to go out with a bang, and we have a great competitor in front of us. So just starting there, sticking to our game plan, and looking to compete, and hopefully go out with a win in front of our home crowd.
Rhea, let me ask you also about Coach Purcell from Mississippi State, coached with Beth Burns, and had a lot of very nice things to say about her in here previously. And I know she's had an impact defensively for all you guys and you. Can you talk about Coach Burns and what she's meant?
Yeah, for sure. So I'd probably say Coach Burns came to SC my sophomore year, my senior year now, and I feel like that's when I really started playing elite level defense. I never experienced a defensive scout like that until she came, and same thing every game. She's handling the defensive side of our scouts, and it really shows because every game plan, every defensive game plan looks different. And with her knowledge, I feel like that's a lot of the reason we have a lot of the wins. And then also one thing about Coach Burns is not just we have principles, so it's not just, this game we're going to do this game we're going to do that. But, like, in practice, she's really, like, pushing us to battle one-on-one defensively or making sure the bigs are in help. So, so it's just, like, just picking her mind defensively has helped my game a lot.
Okay. Any other questions for student athletes? Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck tomorrow. Okay, we'll get started here. Again, remember to raise your hand for a question. Wait for the microphone. State your name and affiliation. Those on Zoom, please raise your hand and we'll get to you. And with that, we'll ask Coach Lindsay Gottlieb of USC to make some opening comments, and then we'll take some questions.
Sorry. Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming out. We are excited to still be playing, to have one more game here in LA at Galen Center against a really tough opponent, a well-coached opponent, and a team that earned their way, to the Monday game just like we did. So our players are focused and ready, and we're looking forward to Monday night.
We'll start over here.
Hey, Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. You've played a lot of really good bigs this season on your schedule. How does Ocott sort of compare to what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, she was actually, much bigger in person than she had seemed on film, which sometimes happens. I think she's got really good hands. She moves well. When you've played Lauren Betts 3 times, I don't think our players are rattled by the sight of a good big, but we have a ton of respect for her. She's legit, and we got to be ready to go.
Go right here.
Marissa and Jimmy, San Francisco Chronicle. Lindsay, I was wondering, has anything Kiki's done surprised you this year? Or what's it been like to coach her? What did you kind of expect from her coming in from Stanford? And how have you seen her grow this year?
Even though you get to know someone in the recruiting process, obviously we had a very kind of close glimpse of her for the years that she was playing at Stanford, and then I'd even seen her kind of on the club circuit. But you never know what someone's going to be like day to day. And so I don't know if surprise is the right word, but she's impressed me day in and day out. I mean, I remember when we first started practicing, I was like, dang, I only get her for 1 year. But then I was like, that's, first world problems, Lindsay. Focus on the fact that we do have her for a year, but she's been a joy. She brings a tremendous energy every day. You almost got to fight the notion of taking it for granted how her motor is and her personality, and literally bringing that intensity level and that energy every day. She's done that. But I think what I've been most impressed about, and she and I have talked about this, is the journey just around the narrative around it. She had an interesting kind of career at Stanford in that she really didn't sort of become a relied upon star really until like midway through her last year there. And she came in here with a ton of eyes, a ton of expectations. People in their last year, when you're thinking about the draft and stuff, already have a lot on their plate, but then she was kind of put in a fishbowl of stuff. And I've just been so proud of her ability to just stay true to the process and why she came here and what she was looking for. And I've said this publicly, and I've said this to her, we are nowhere near the kind of level or echelon or have the goals that we have if she's not here. Like, she's an incredible part of that, and she really has grown. I mean, from the defensive end, and I know WNBA teams are not recognizing this. She can guard anybody. We have her switching on screens. We have her guarding bigs. We have her guarding smalls. She can play in the post. She can stretch it. She can handle the ball a bit. Her passing. So I think she's grown in a lot of ways on the basketball court. But to me, really, the maturity of getting out of her comfort zone when it would have been easier to stay where she was when things were kind of worked around her in a familiar system, to saying I'm going to get out of that and I'm going to grow myself and go in a bit of more of a pro style system and go play at home with all the expectations of trying to compete for a championship. I think she's taken it all on, and I really want for her to get everything kind of that potentially can come, at the end of the rainbow sort of thing, because she's given everything to us.
Over here, Clint.
Clint Yates, ESPN. Excuse me. You guys really got after it with the press last game in terms of 4 quarters of it and picking up full. What did you learn about your team in terms of what they can do well beyond just the result on the court then that you're going to be able to take forward going into the rest of the tournament?
Yeah, well, we know that the press is a weapon for us. Certainly when our offense is, sputtering in any way, it's a good defensive weapon for us, but it also kickstarts our offense. We know that that's something that's in our arsenal. I thought, we did a really good job of using that press to give us some energy that then we carry over into every aspect of the game. So it's just one of the things that I think we're capable of doing.
Last follow-up quickly. Last game at Galen Center, as you mentioned, on the season. Can you give me sort of a recap of what this year has been like for you guys and the home crowd and what they've given to your squad?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable where we've come. I was telling that to the talent that was in there calling the game for us. They said, "Oh, it was a great crowd here," and I said it would feel even greater if you were here 2 or 3, 4 years ago. When really the knock on this place that I would hear all the time in recruiting is, oh, they can't get fans. LA can't support women's basketball. Yes, we can. Yes, they can. Yes, they have. And it's been incredible to see. But it's not just that it's full. There's an unbelievable energy. I'm so impressed and enamored by our crowd. They're awesome. They're fun. Throughout the course of this year, it's been like a movie, with the celebrities that have been here, and the people that come all the time. The little girls in their Juju jerseys, and now we had everybody else's jerseys out there too, and Rhea jerseys and all of that. There's just an unmatched energy. I think you have to be here and experience it to really understand it's different than other people's crowds, and I'm really grateful for it, and I'm really proud of how we've built it and how LA and the community has shown up. I think we are very much the community's team here, and it's cool to just be a part of that, and I'm hoping that it's a big factor on Monday night because we need a great crowd, and I know they'll show up for us.
Beth Harris, AP. On the men's side, there's talk about possibly expanding the tournament field, and I'm wondering on the women's side what your thoughts are on the possibility of making this a bigger event with more teams.
Yeah, to be honest, I like to read a lot of stuff about, sports from a global perspective, but I haven't spent that much time thinking about that just because I'm so locked in on what we're doing. Typically I'm always open to change and progressive ideas, but I think we all think we've got a pretty good product, and it's a pretty unbelievable tournament, and so I don't really have a strong feeling, but it's hard to, it's hard to think anything gets better than what we have, but I'd have to do a little bit more studying to see what I really think.
With the growth of the women's game, is it time to change to neutral sites for the first and second rounds?
I don't know that we're there yet. I mean, I think that, the energy you're seeing across the country, we've now built it to where all the home sites, I think, really are great crowds. I mean, I thought it was an incredible crowd for the second game yesterday. I mean, I think our fans are savvy basketball fans in state. I thought Cal traveled great. I thought Mississippi State brought a contingent. And I think you lose something if you go to a neutral site, and you just never know, right? You never know what that's going to bring. So I think there's a ton of growth in women's basketball, and ultimately you want to get to sold-out buildings on neutral courts, and then really it is the most, even kind of tournament, but I'm not sure that we're quite there yet, but we're getting there.
Kahari Jones, Culver City Observer. Can you talk about Malia Samuels? The things she do off the court, Coach kind of praised her a little bit. Everyone talks about Juju, but we have Malia and Avery over here.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the things that she do that's not necessarily shown on the scoreboard?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this as a staff. I think every player at every level from, middle school to high school to college to the pros should study the way that Malia has really handled her role. I mean, I don't know that there's someone, better at being ready for what they're supposed to do and coming in and doing it well. And I don't think that's just something that you wake up and say, this is what I'm going to do. I think you got to buy into that and feel that and find a way, to be ready in big moments when maybe it's not necessarily 30 minutes every game, in every moment that your name is called. And she's a huge part of what we do. Her defense, particularly at the point of attack and stopping the ball and pressuring the ball, is huge. Her ability to run an offense, as the point guard, pick her spots, use her explosiveness to get to the paint, but also set us up. She's been really impressive, and she's a really important part of our depth, and we rely on our depth in a lot of different ways.
Go, Ryan.
Ryan Carchi, LA Times. Lindsay, you talked about the press being a weapon kind of on both sides. I wonder how that's progressed over the time that you've been here. Is it, has Beth kind of been constantly adding more to it, or is it just a matter of the personnel changing, or how has that gotten better over time?
I mean, since I hired Coach B, we've used what we call this Mad Dog press. Just there's times and flow of how much we use it or not as much or what have you. Sometimes it depends on us and our personnel. Sometimes it depends on opponents. But I think what has happened is, the personnel has grown into those roles. We talked about Rhea yesterday, Rhea's been one of the mad dogs, her spot on the press for a couple of years, but she's really evolved to now where she could teach a clinic in it. She could be in the video for, the mad dog, how you play the mad dog. And then I think what we've learned over the course of this season with all of our personnel is how to feed off of one another. I think you see it in the half court too. I think people have learned how to feed off of Kennedy's defense or Malia's defense up at the point of attack, or what Rhea can do, what Juju can do, protecting the basket with their shot blocking or what have you. And I think with our press, it's the same kind of thing. You kind of tweak the press, but more so you figure out who else can do what and how do I feed off other people.
Playing Mississippi State tomorrow, but it could have been Cal. And I know you guys have seen Cal a bit over the past few years in Pac-12 play, but this year for them to get to the tournament, like what have you thought about seeing the way they've grown and the job that Charmin's done there?
Yep. Cannot be more proud of Charmin in that group. Charmin and I talked a lot when I was in the NBA, and they had the COVID year and the struggles, and people don't really see what it takes to get to the other side. And I think Charmin and her staff really weathered that storm, got creative, figured out how to be good, and then coached the heck out of that team. And, I nominated her in a WBC award for a Coach of the Year. I think she should have been in conversations for, ACC Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year, because I think it's easy to look at the teams that are 30-3 and coaches have done great jobs. But sometimes, teams that are picked to finish whatever they were in their conference, 13th, 14th, and end up in the top half and a solid tournament team don't get talked about enough. I also think, I watch them and know them, from before they were in our bracket, right? For someone like Michelle Onya to stay 5 years and improve as much as she did, and figure out the new people that are coming in. And I was super proud of Kayla Williams stepping in there and playing great for them. She's a USC grad and did amazing things for us. I think that group did a lot of great things. And like I said, it would have been hard, to face them here. That's why you never want to. But just to sit back and watch that game yesterday, scouting. I don't think they were at their best. But I also wrote Charmin a text that said they should only be thinking about how proud they are of what they did. And I thought they really brought Cal basketball back to what we've all known it to be. And I just will root for them to continue to do so. But I think a moment to say what a great year they had, I think, is really important.
Hey, just to go back to that conversation about the hosting sites real quick.
Yep.
Maybe the first weekend is a different conversation, but what do you think about the women's tournament going back to 4 regionals?
Yeah, I've thought a little bit more about that recently. Look, this year, having 2 regional sites, hypothetically, could be an advantage for a team like us. If UCLA, let's say, was the top team in the West, then, we wouldn't have been in the West, right? And so, okay, you give a chance. But when you look at it, just as I've thought about it a little bit, to have a Spokane and a Birmingham and the Final Four is in Tampa, just seems a little bit, there's just a lot of travel involved for most people, right? And, you get teams that, who make it to Spokane or are coming from the East are going to have to go really far west and then go back if they were to get to Tampa. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I know why the NCAA did it, to kind of focus on 2 places and try and build up fans there. But you also kind of leave out sections of the country who find it harder to get to certain places. So I'm not the expert on all that. When they make, what is it? Someone else said, when they make me czar of women's basketball, I'll delve more into it. But I think there's pros and cons. But the more I'm hearing from colleagues, I think people like the 2 sites less. But we've got it for a while. And so to me, whatever they tell us to go, we're going to go. We're focused on obviously winning a game tomorrow. I haven't really thought too much about locations at all. But all of us feel kind of when you're in it, wherever they're going to tell us to go, we're going to go. And so I think, the 2 sites thing needs a little more time for people to really decipher whether it's the right thing.
Do one last question over here.
Amadi Cowie, USCFootball.com. I asked all the players about pace. This year, this team has, had really good pace in the fast break. Yesterday in the first quarter, of course, you guys didn't play as well as you wanted. And I noticed that you told them to push the ball up a lot. How important is, having a good pace and getting the ball up and starting the offense, going forward through March Madness and all these games?
Yeah, we think when we're fast, there's not that many teams that are as fast as we are. So it's just like any other thing. If you have an advantage, if you're a great 3-point shooting team, like you'd be silly not to shoot threes, or if you're great, at X, Y, and Z. So for us, like playing fast is something that we do well. So we do like to generate pace. You can do that off missed baskets, and you go. You can do it off made baskets and not walk it up, and you can certainly do it, off turnovers and pressing when you're trying to create tempo. So we try and do it in all different ways. But yeah, we do feel like, we'd rather play a faster game than a slower game.
Okay, Coach, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Good
Appreciate
luck to
you
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I tried to make this quiet and all of a sudden.
A reminder that the video recording of the pressers today and